Welcome to the Explainer. Sometimes a story comes along that's about so much more than what it seems on the surface. Today, we've got one of those. It isn't really about grammar or vocabulary. It's about how taking on one single challenge can totally reshape your life, no matter how old you are.
And that right there, that's the big promise from the person whose story we're telling. It's a pretty bold claim, right? But stick with me, and I think you'll see just how a personal quest to learn something new can lead to this massive, profound change.
So let's meet our main character. And he's probably not who you're picturing. We're not talking about a college kid cramming for an exam or some big shot executive. Nope. This story is all about a 47-year-old man from Brazil who was basically just trying to figure out what to do with his life. So picture this. He's retired, he's got time on his hands, and he's asking that question we all ask ourselves at some point, right? Okay, so what's next? He was a huge fan of movies, TV shows, and video games, all that good stuff. But there was this one big problem. He spoke Portuguese, and he kept hitting this language wall. Well, that frustration, that's what kicked this whole adventure off.
So what was driving him? It really boiled down to four key things. First, he just wanted to enjoy his favorite movies and games without needing subtitles all the time. Makes sense. Second, he wanted to tear down that language barrier for good. Third, and this is a big one, he wanted to keep his brain active and sharp now that he was retired. And last but not least, he was just looking for something meaningful to pour his energy into.
Okay, so he's decided he's going to learn a new language. But which one? I mean, with thousands out there, which one would actually help him reach his goals? Well, it had to be English, right? It was the language of all the media he loved. And hey, it's the most used language on the planet. So yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer. The goal was set. The quest was on. But you know how it is, setting the goal, that's the easy part. The real meat of this story is the journey he took to get there. And let me tell you, this was not some quick weekend project. We're talking about a years-long effort, full of roadblocks and amazing discoveries. So let's break down what that path actually looked like. Check out this timeline. It really tells a story. He kicks things off in 2015 using an app like Duolingo, just like a lot of us would. But then, look, about a year and a half in, bam, he hits that wall, that dreaded plateau where you just feel stuck. It takes a totally new method to get him going again, and it's not until year 5, after going all in with full immersion, that he finally feels like he's made it. This was absolutely a marathon, not a sprint. And yeah, every marathon runner hits a wall. This is where the story gets really good, in my opinion, because his success wasn't about having some perfect, foolproof plan from the start. It was all about how he figured things out and adapted when his first plan, well, just stopped working. So here's that first big obstacle I mentioned. He'd been at it for a year and a half. He'd finished every single lesson in the app he was using. He basically did everything he was supposed to do. And yet, he felt totally stuck, like he wasn't getting any better. If you've ever tried to learn anything new, you know exactly what that feels like. So what'd he do? He got creative. He found out about this method called read and listen, which is exactly what it sounds like. Problem was, the official courses and materials were way too expensive. But he didn't give up. He actually spent hours digging around online until he found a free version of the book Robinson Crusoe that also had an audiobook to go with it. He basically built his own learning tool from scratch and just dove right in. And you know what? It worked. This new method was a game changer, and his understanding of English started to skyrocket. But that's the funny thing about learning, isn't it? As soon as you conquer one challenge, you usually unlock the next level, and that level is almost always harder. His new problem? Fast talkers. He was great with the clear, slow audio from his book, but when he tried to watch a movie or listen to a real conversation, it was all just a blur of sound. He couldn't keep up. You could say he'd reached the final boss of language learning. So to beat this final boss, he had to upgrade his gear. He put together a whole new toolkit. He found a site with super fast audio to train his ear. He started using an app called Anki to really hammer home new vocabulary. And this is the big one. He went for full immersion. Everything he watched, read, or listened to, podcasts, news, you name it, he switched it all to English. And he did it. He actually achieved his goal. He could understand English. But here's the twist in the story. The really crucial part. Being able to understand English, that wasn't actually the biggest win. The real prize was something else entirely, something he wasn't even looking for. So let's just stop for a second and think about this. Was this whole 5-year journey really just about watching movies without subtitles? Or was there something much, much deeper going on here? The answer is a huge, resounding no. That journey, it became the thing that totally changed him as a person. The real goal wasn't fluency. The real goal, it turns out, was the process itself. All the struggles, all the little wins along the way. And look at what he got out of it. He started noticing that his memory was way better. He could focus on things for longer, much more intensely. And maybe the biggest thing of all, the whole struggle taught him a real sense of humility. He had a brand new respect for anyone trying to learn something difficult. I love how he puts it himself. He says he felt maybe even a little smarter. Not too much, of course, and he adds that little smiling emoji. It just shows you that the humility he talks about is totally genuine. It was never about his ego, it was all about the growth. And that brings us to the real takeaway here, the final piece of the puzzle. This is the gift he wants to pass on from his whole experience, and it's a message that's really for every single one of us. His big point is this: it doesn't matter what you choose to learn. Honestly, it didn't have to be English. It could have been Spanish, or learning to code, or how to play the guitar. The what isn't nearly as important as the how, the commitment you make to the process of learning itself. This is his final piece of advice, and it's so simple but so powerful, forged over 5 years of hard work. If you truly want it, you can do it. That just cuts through all the noise, doesn't it? It's all about willpower. So we're not going to end with an answer today. We're going to end with a question for you. Think about it. His journey started because he wanted to watch movies. It ended with him understanding himself on a whole new level. So the question is, what journey will you start?